Hi you guys, my name is Cherita. Welcome to my channel. Alright you guys, I feel as if I can't go one single day without something happening, but I'm always busy during those times. Yeah. So there's a lot to catch up on, but today we're going to be talking about David Dobrik and his apology, the apology that he just put out, his second apology. So if you guys are interested in this video, go ahead and keep watching. Before I get started, make sure you click subscribe for new content whenever I post. And also do not forget to click the notification bell so that you are notified every single time that I post a video. So let's get started. And per usual, I will be throwing on some makeup while we chit chat. Now my face may not be looking better to you, but it is looking better to me. Okay, so where do we even start? There's a lot of layers to this David, oh my gosh. I'll get it right. To this David Dobrik situation. And I think what I'm going to be talking about most is just kind of like this dude bro, I guess, environment that that people have created and allowed to flourish on YouTube. I don't know much about David Dobrik and his start on YouTube, but I do know that David Dobrik is, if I'm not mistaken, an immigrant of the European descent. A lot of people don't know that, which a lot of people are like, well, I don't care. Did he come here legally? Blah, 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 blah. But if it was a brown person, you know for a fact that he would be treated so much different. He would not be one of the most successful YouTubers. He's like this quirky, goofy white boy. And I've never been into that type of content. Surprise, surprise. But because of his reach, I do know who David Dobrik is. I know who he is. And I remember at one point, I think when I first kind of heard about David, it was when Trisha did a video and she was like ordering through drive-thru as different people. And apparently she was making fun of David Dobrik's lisp or something. And people got up in arms like, I can't believe Trisha would make fun of somebody in their speech impediments or whatever. But I think that's kind of it. Like David, I feel like David is almost a mainstream name. I feel like he's almost a mainstream name at this point. This is gonna be my first time ever using this Milk Hydro Grip Primer. As you see, I got the smallest one because I'm broke. Long story short, David Dobrik has hung out with people who have recently been part of some. So long story short, David Dobrik does a lot of prank videos, and a lot of him and his friends do things that ultimately make people uncomfortable, and they laugh and they joke about it. Well, unfortunately, at one point, they did a joke. It was him and Dirty Dave. He basically ended up having sex with this girl who was extremely intoxicated, which if a person cannot consent, that is assault. If a person cannot consent because they are inebriated, they're not in their right state of mind, that is assault, period. And it became that somebody, over age purchased this, this alcohol for these girls so that they would get a little more loose, so that they would be more comfortable hanging out with these grown men or whatever. And I think everybody that is involved should be held accountable. However, now we have Trisha Paytas, who we know is problematic herself. We have Trisha Paytas who's been exposing all of this, and everybody is like, praise Trisha, all hail Trisha. No, that's not what we're going to do. Because just because she calls somebody out does not negate the things that she's done in the past. Trisha has still been problematic, and she still has talked down and she's been disgusting to marginalized groups. We cannot forget that. Is she right about this situation? More than likely. But that does not mean that we get to forget the harm that she's done to all these other marginalized groups. Nope, sorry, not happening, not on this channel. Because a broken clock is right twice a day. Just because Trisha's right does not negate the trash that she's done. So please don't forget that. So maybe a week ago, David made an apology video. It was 2 minutes long. It was on his podcast channel, which has only 1 point something million compared to his main channel, which has 18.4 million subscribers, or even his vlog channel, David Dobrik 2, which I think that one has like 4 to 8 million subscribers, something like that. But he uploaded this video to his least viewed channel, turned off the comments, and the title was Let's Talk. How are we going to talk, David? How are we going to talk? You talked. The title should have been Let Me Talk, not let's, as in let us talk. No. It should have been I'm talking, I'm speaking. That should have been the title of the video. Anyways, it was very vague. If you don't know about the assaults, then you wouldn't know what was going on in his apology. Then another guy by the name of Jeff. So before the Jeff situation, you guys, this is all over the place. Before the Jeff situation, Kat, hey girl, Kat put out, she's a journalist for The Insider, and she put out an article talking about the allegations. Jeff's name was mentioned in the article because he was there the night that the alleged assault happened. And instead of reading what was said in the article, he did a full video, and it was like 23, 28 minutes long, something like that. Did a full video and was like, Kat's lying, put her Twitter handle up. Basically, it was like a dog whistle, and all of his stands and David's stands started attacking Kat for this article that she supposedly lied in. That article, there was nothing, like, it was the victim's truth. So to sit there and say, oh, it's a lie, when you didn't even read the article, and then to put out a video on top of that, problematic. And then Jeff went on to do a podcast with Trisha and Ethan Klein, the Frenemies podcast, and that was a mess in its own. Like, that needs to be an entire video, because Jeff really got on that podcast ready to, I guess, defend himself for, he didn't even know what the article said about him. I feel like because the article implied that he was there, I guess he felt people thought he did the, he did the assault or whatever. He went straight into defense mode. So now you've got Jeff looking stupid on the H3 podcast, and David still has not said anything. David is still just watching his friends get thrown under the bus. So finally, last night, as everybody was winding down, getting ready to go to sleep, Keemstar, he released something on Twitter and was like, I just got word that David's going to be posting an apology video within the next hour or something like that. So of course everybody's awake, waiting for it to drop. It finally dropped, and it did drop on his main channel. He left the comments on, he left the likes to dislike ratio on, he left everything on, because he knew if he didn't, he would get dragged through the mud like he did during that first 2-minute apology. Now, this apology was 7 minutes long, and here's the thing. Usually when somebody does something, like we've seen all these influencer apologies, usually like the Tanas and the Jeffreys, those apologies go on for way longer than they should. David's just was not long enough. Now, granted, it was better because he used some of those buzzwords like accountability. He did apologize. He didn't do the whole, I apologize if you were offended. He apologized to the right people. However, how do we know that he's sorry? Because he didn't start apologizing until he started losing lots of sponsorships. And I'm talking major sponsorships. I think had this been his first apology, people would have taken it better. Now, again, this apology has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you. This is for the victims. The apology is for the victims. And if you are a David Dobrik fan, you really need to reevaluate who you're supporting. Because while no, David did not actually do the assault, he provided a place. And if you go back and you watch his videos, David sets things up just so he can record these things. Now, I'm not saying that because of David, Dom did what he did, because I feel like that's just who Dom is. Dirty Dom, Dirty Dan, whatever. He would have done it regardless. However, David provided the space and provided the atmosphere and laughed about it and made jokes about it. None of that is funny. The Seth thing. I think Seth was the guy who Jason Nash made out with when they told David, or they told Seth that it was going to be a girl, but it ended up being an old 45-year-old man that he did not consent to. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, did David make out with that guy? No. But he told him it was going to be a girl. And that Seth guy did not. That's not what he consented to. He consented to make out with a girl. And a lot of people are like, well, it's always like he was still friends with him after, or, he said he'd do it again, or da-da-da-da. Clearly, you guys don't know what manipulation looks like. Like, clearly, y'all don't know what manipulation is. And that's fine. I mean, it's not fine. But like, power balances and power dynamics, like, those things are so true. And, I mean, you guys see how people react when they say, oh, so-and-so, somebody with a lot of money or a lot of influence, so-and-so did this to me. And what does everybody say? Oh, you're just doing this for clout. If you really didn't enjoy it, you would not be hanging out with them. Why do you do this? Why do you do this? People they give people with money and power so much leeway. I'll never understand why somebody who works at McDonald's will get fired for being late and will never be able to work at McDonald's again, but somebody can send nudes to a minor and still be a millionaire. Like, I don't understand why people of power are not held to a higher standard. It's always the poor people who are held to a higher standard. It's always the poor people that are told, well, maybe if you weren't late, you'd still have a job. It's always, well, maybe if you weren't this, maybe if you weren't that. But then when it comes to rich people or powerful people, and they're getting accused, and even if they admit to it, it's still, well, they made a mistake. Humans can't make mistakes. Can they? Because you just told me that a 16-year-old working at McDonald's can never be late. That's what I heard. That's what I was told. And I've never found anything that David did funny or quirky. What's his name? David Dobrik reminds me of like Shane Dawson. It's all like that dude bro, the Logan Pauls and the Jake Pauls. And what do they all have in common? They're all privileged white people. Let a person of color do something like that. Let a person of color do pranks like that. Name 5 black men and or women who have the same pull and the same reach as David Dobrik doing the same thing that he does. Don't worry, I'll wait. The jokes are not funny at all. And people need to take they need to take it more serious. Because at this point, we're just letting anybody become famous and have reach and pull. And then in some years, we're going to be looking back. Well, y'all going to be looking back talking about, oh, well, I didn't even notice that they were problematic. I can tell you who's been saying that they're trash, but y'all don't want to listen. Black folks. We've been saying that. We've been saying things like, I don't understand why, I don't understand the hype. Their comedy isn't funny. While David Dobrik himself may not be an abuser, he's equally as part of the problem. There was a video clip that I saw of him, and I guess he followed Jason Nash and Trisha Paytas to Hawaii, and then, hit him with a paintball gun or whatever. Now, here's the thing. The minute Jason said, David, please do not hit me with that paintball gun, and David's like, oh, I'm not, opens up the door and then proceeds to shoot him with a paintball gun. That stuff is not funny to me. That stuff is not funny to me. The Emma Chamberlain thing, David found out that she has a phobia of caterpillars, a phobia. And what does he do? He plays a prank on her. Probably caused a full-blown panic attack. I mean, she was screaming, she was crying, and of course she's uncomfortable. And at the end of the clip, she's like, David made me cry, and she's like kind of laughing about it. But had she exploded or reacted in the way that she wanted to, that probably could have costed her career. So here's the thing about David's apology. He did the sitting down on the floor, the hoodie. It wasn't gray, but it was black. He started to cry, but he cut that out. Thank God. I could not imagine if he would have allowed those tears to flow. Oh, people would have been like, oh, my precious David. Oh my God, you guys, look how sincere he is. I forgot to add, I believe that these are guilt or shame tears, not because he truly feels bad for what he did. He's sad he got caught. And the thing is I'm not going to sit here and say whether his apology was sincere or not. I just don't think he addressed everything that should have been addressed. But again, this has nothing to do with me. And, he did that one apology and that was that. But again, I think a lot of the reasons that he apologized is because he was losing sponsorships. That's just what I think. So I'm using this butter bronzer. It's by Physicians Formula. It smells so good. But we'll see what it looks like. What it do? It looked darker online. So yeah, I just think that the meat of the apology was there. I don't think the potatoes and vegetables were there. It was a good outline. It started out, it's not one of the worst apologies. That I will say. I don't think it's one of the worst. But again, he kind of got straight to the point, but I just don't think he addressed everything that he should have addressed. But then again, this has nothing to do with me. And what's the only apology that we accept in 2021 is changed behavior. So how do we know whether that apology was sincere? You just kind of have to wait it out. Sure, he apologized, but now what? You know what I mean? Now what do we do? He said he's going to take a step back from the internet, but I was looking at his YouTube page and it doesn't even seem like His last video before this one on his main channel was like 10 months ago or something like that. So I don't know what he means he's going to take a step back. Has he been active on like TikTok and Instagram? And I just don't know. Is that what he's talking about, taking a step back? I don't know. But David, his apology, I felt was better than others. But how do we know he's doing it for the right reasons? I guess we'll never know. So yeah, I mean, I think he'll be fine in the long run. I don't feel like he will be permanently canceled or whatever. I think that, he has to learn his shit. I think he has to learn his lesson, because there's a lot of influencers out here that continue to do the same thing over and over and over, but they never suffer any repercussions ever. They just continue to do the same thing over and over. They don't lose brands. They don't lose anything. And so I guess this is brands' ways of saying like, hey, don't mess up. I don't know. But again, he said he's taking a step back. I don't know for how long. I don't know for how long. But is he taking a step back because he's losing brand deals, or is he taking a step back because he truly wants to learn and do better? And that's just something that we're just going to have to watch out for. I mean, if you're interested in it, if you're interested in it, then sure, watch. But I don't think this is the end for David. I really don't think this is the end for David Dobrik. I think he will be fine. I think he can and will recover from this. He has to change. He has to change. He has to change his content. He has to change the people that he hangs around. He has to grow and evolve as a person. But I think because he is, that goofy little white boy that everybody is like, oh, David, I think he'll be fine. I honestly think he will be fine. So I'm going to finish the rest of my makeup off camera, and then I will come back and we can finish up this video. All right, you guys, so here's the final look. The eyeshadow palette that I use today is Strawberry Dream by Lunar Beauty. I'm kind of feeling the colors, not gonna lie. I think the look came out decent. So anyway, long story short, I think the issue that we have is just protecting too many people based on their status, based on their power. And that's an issue. That's an issue. Just because David Dobrik has 18 million followers doesn't mean that he's a good person. I think people who are that high, who have that much power, I think they got there because they're not good people. And I'm not saying that everybody on top is a terrible human being, but I think a lot of people manipulated their way to the top. That's just my opinion. That's just what I think. We need to have the same standards when it comes to accountability as like the people on top as we do the little people, the poor people. Because at this point, it's not looking good for people with power. It just isn't. The only way that we are going to know whether David's apology was genuine or not is we just have to wait. We just have to wait because, like I said before, the only form of apology that we accept is changed behavior. And that's on that. That's period. I feel like I feel we've seen people grow, specifically in the beauty community. Manny has grown. Laura Lee has shown growth. Of course, you can always like side-eye these people because of who they used to hang out with or what they have said in the past. But if they've actively shown growth, that's amazing for them. But we can't just go 2 days after David apologizes and we're like, see, he changed. And then we allow him to do the same thing over and over and over because we've seen that with other people. We've seen that with the Shane Dawsons and the Jeffree Stars and that orange man that used to reside in the White House. We've seen it happen. They get away with it for years and years and years. They're never held accountable. And then all of a sudden people want to scream, well, it's cancel culture. No, it's called accountability. Those are trash people. Throw them away. And stop using this as an excuse to be like, well, James is still... This situation has nothing to do with James. This situation has nothing to do with James. Stop using this as an excuse to be like, well, I mean, if we're not canceling James, then we don't need to cancel David. We don't need to cancel Dirty Dan, Dom. We can cancel them all. It may take longer for others, but don't try to use this as a whataboutism. No. Let's take care of the situation at hand. So that was my very rambly video about David Dobrik. Again, I don't know much about him, but I do know that that dude bro type content is so dangerous, as we've seen. And just like, no, David did not commit the crimes, but neither did Charles Manson. Charles Manson never unalived a person a day in his life. However, he was deemed... Has David done X, Y, and Z? No. But he was part of it. He allowed it to happen. He provided the space. He provided the safe space as to where, oh no, you can do whatever, but like because you're with me. Those girls aren't going to say anything. You do you. And I'm not saying that's a conversation that happened, but that's probably the thought process that some of these males had. So anyway, that is it. That is my video for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. Also, do not forget to link up with me on my social media, especially Twitter. All of that information will be down below in the description box. If you want more of me, I do have a Patreon and I have a membership here on YouTube. Please sign up for one or the other. Do not sign up for both because they both reap the same benefits. And until my next video, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Whoa. Did not mean for that to happen, but of course I have to go all the way over there. Excuse me.
Give me up, I wanna. Gotta work, go berserk, I gotta. Know you gon' wake up. Know you gotta get your cake up. Don't matter if it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it's my time, my own.